Good morning, good afternoon. Oh my goodness. If it's in the midnight hour, wherever you live, oh, Wilson Pickett said, I'm going to wait till the midnight hour when love comes running around. Well, I'll tell you what, we need a lot of love in this world, in this country right now, because what's happening right now, you know, what's love got to do with it, huh? Because people aren't showing any kind of love. Here I am again. Come back a little sooner than I thought I would. Excuse me for my voice again. I'm getting a little bit better. I think it's my allergies here in Florida. They're acting up. Um, I just wanted to come back this morning and clarify some things. Clarify some things. Remember, I started off yesterday letting you know that whatever we do, we have to put the word in it. I am a Christian. I'm not ashamed to say that. I believe that I respect all faiths, all religions. And I start off with the word love because all faiths, all religions should be based on love. And I've even been involved and been into some other types of faiths that were, well, put this way, it was about uh, worshiping somebody that has horns and they color him red and he down below. You get my drift? Satan. Some people, I've been around Satan worshipers, but I still show them love. Moving right along with no further ado, yesterday I just want to make it clear that we are dealing with an issue right now in this country, and we have a Chief Justice Roberts, who has spent over 44 years trying to dismantle the civil rights legislation that took place in 1965. And I want to come back today to clarify something because I showed you yesterday civil rights, the amendment of 1870. You know, we get into 1865, we get into Emancipation Proclamation, all those kinds of things. But amendments 13, 14, 15, they're considered Reconstruction amendments. During time of Reconstruction, we had Black legislators, schools, professors. It was like people were showing love with each other. Then we had what was called the now you might do a little history here. There was a time they were called the Southern Democrats that were wanting to continue slavery, and then things switch. You know, we have the Dixiecrats and all that stuff, and then Texas we had another group, but I don't want to get into that right now. In terms of when the Democratic Party and the Republican Party were actually opposite, but it was a certain segment that the Democratic Party from those Confederate states which were pushing for slavery and those kind of things. But keep in mind, I believe in what Paul wrote in Colossians 3:11. Here there is no Gentile or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Remember, Christ, God is love. Then Galatians 3:28, this is from the NIV, the New International Version of Bible. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. In other words, we need to get off of this bandwagon of categorizing people and understand that through Christ or through love, we are all to be one. That's just that simple. Just that simple. But we have people that are misusing the concepts of Christianity. I'm gonna tell you right now, this country, don't fall for this lie. This country was not founded on Christian principles. Let me say that again. You might catch it after I finish this today. But this country was not founded on Christian principles. And there was a time in this country where people, whatever color they were considered indentured servants. Then there was a runaway of some Europeans and another African, a slave, John Bunch. They got recaptured. They added 2 more years of servitude on the European guys that had escaped, and John Bunch had a lifetime of servitude. And people got in mind, well, we can just enslave these people no matter what. That's how slavery kind of continues to happen. But that's another history lesson. But keep in mind, this country was based and founded on racism. When black people and white people, as I heard a story told today, I forget the lady's name, but she had a statement, she says, why? Why do these white people hate us so much? That's a very good question. If you look at the term racism, is not based on logic, not based on logic. So there were things that were put in place yesterday. I shared with you different things about the act that was the 15th Amendment, that is. And I talked about the amendments. So some people might have gotten this confused. I want to just make this clear that when we talk about, I just mentioned the Reconstruction amendments. These were amendments. Keep this in mind, because I want to clarify this. You can see here, the amendments we thought were safe and would bring about positive change for Blacks, Hispanics, women, Asian, those of the First Nations. And the reason I put this in here, if what happened in Louisiana is actually, whatever is going on is actually to disenfranchise Black people. I'm just going to make it plain. It's an attack, continued attack on Black people. You have a guy that's in the White House, and I won't go through the litany of things. You know, as soon as he got in office, what did he do? He busts up the Black Lives Matter logo in Washington, D.C. He strips away the names of Black people in Pennsylvania. He wipes away Black people in the Smithsonian. They tried to get rid of the name of Jackie Robinson. It goes on and on and on. Don't tell me this man is not a racist to the core. His parents came up, his dad was part of the KKK, and the apple did not fall too far from the tree. His niece, Mary Trump, talks about, she grew up with this guy, about his racism. So then we have, the reason I'm saying this to you right now is that if they come in for all these Black people trying to strip them of rights, they coming for women. They're going to come more again for Hispanics. We saw that during the whole ICE race. They're coming for women and help a woman if she's a woman and she's a lesbian. And look what happened to Renee Good. You know, she's a good woman. You know, I have nothing against people that love whoever they love. Love is the key. They're going to come after, what they know. This country has already done their internments with Asians, the Japanese internment camps that they did, snatching people out of California businesses and throwing them in concentration camps. And we know the people of the First Nations. The people of the First Nations, those that were already here on the East Coast, we had an influx of Seminoles, the Cherokee, we have other, the Plains. We've seen what people can do. The reservation, the Trail of Tears. This is all in Project 2025. They've already implemented about 53% of that. You got to get it right. Those 900 some pages spelling it all out. And the architect behind this is the Heritage Foundation. And the great leader of them is Stephen Miller. But I just want to clarify, these are amendments. The 15th Amendment prohibits the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. That means even if you were a slave. And we know what happened with the Dred Scott decision, but I just want to clarify the 15th, because we talk about the 1965 Civil Rights Act of, and we're talking about the law 15th, okay? I just want to clarify, these are amendments, but they were carried out, expounded on when we got to the 1965 Civil Rights Act. So let me go and share that with you here. If I can find it. So we have the civil rights. Okay, this is that 15th Amendment. Okay, just broken down. The Reconstruction era. The right of citizens, Section 1 of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Now, Section 2, the Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So, Section 2 helped Section 1. That's where it got tricky. Because here then all of a sudden, we have the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Okay, so let's look at that. So the Voting Rights Act of 1960, this is the section that came under fire. Now, this was signed into law, okay, prohibits discriminatory voting practices or procedures, including those alleged to diminish or weaken minority voting power, known as minority vote dilution. Specifically, Section 2 prohibits any voting qualification or practice applied or imposed by any state or political subdivision, city or county that results in the denial or abridgment of the right to vote based on race, color, or membership in the language or in a language minority. Well, so for example, someone that's just, English is their second language, primarily Spanish. The statute further provides that a violation is established if, based on the totality of circumstances, electoral processes are not equally open to participation by members of a racial or language minority group, and that its members have less opportunity than other members of the electorate to elect representatives of their choice. That's where it got tricky. Section 2 has been invoked primarily to challenge congressional and state legislative redistricting maps, also known as vote dilution cases, as discussed by the Supreme Court, has interpreted Section 2 under certain circumstances to require the creation of one or more majority-minority districts in the redistricting map. A majority-minority district is one in which a racial or language minority group comprises of voting majority. The court has determined that the creation of such districts can avoid minority vote dilution by helping ensure that racial or language minority groups are not submerged into the majority and thereby denied an equal opportunity to elect candidates of choice. So let me just get this out of the way and just tell you what this is saying. It was written into law. That's what that's the 1965 voting right. So what they did in this argument, they argued Alito and Roberts, who has been trying to get rid of Section 2, they got to Section 5 already. They tried to say, well, there's no more, you can't create districts based only on race as being an issue. And then Alito saying, well, there's no race problem. So what they did, they're constructing these maps to as partisan maps to get more Republicans. This is what they've done. So here's the current map. This is the map just released by DeSantis in Florida. So you can see right now, there's some districts here that the blue is Democratic. You don't have very much representation. But look over here. They took them all away. This is a gerrymandering, partisan politics, representative Republican gerrymandering. So they're not saying this is racial, even though the Voting Rights Act 1965 is saying you have to have representation, majority, minority. This is violating here in Florida for sure. This didn't even go into vote in the legislature. DeSantis took this on Fox News and showed it. So here we have, they're trying to erase the word race and say, no, it's not racial. No, we're just doing it partisan to, they're not even admitting it. Then this is the case, what happened. This is the current Louisiana congressional district map. So they would gain, the Democrats have suggested here in Louisiana, the Democrats would pick up another spot and the Republicans side would lose one. That's it. And here the Democrats would get nothing basically in Florida. So I just want to come back and clarify. You're talking about amendments versus a law. So what we had here is in 1965, Lyndon Johnson signed into law. Here you see Rap Abernathy, you see Dr. Martin Luther King, some other good folks. I think is that Jackie Kennedy? Yeah, I think so. And the Voting Rights Act was signed into law. No Chinese proverb said, when it is written down, it becomes law. So this Supreme Court decides that they want to just break the law. We don't want to listen to you anymore. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but this is exactly what you're looking at. You're looking at white supremacy. These 6 judges that have on their black robes, they substitute those black robes instead of putting on the white robe in the hood and burning the cross, calling it Christian nationalism, which is white supremacy. It's literally an attack on black people. I'm not going to bite my tongue. I grew up, and I mentioned yesterday, in several decades of experiencing things that I can't even tell you about without, breaking out in tears or wanting to just, get my blood pressure up. But I experienced certain things where these people in the white hoods were out there. Now they don't have to put on the white hoods. They can put on the black robe and say that they are fighting for the justice of the American way. So here we have the 1965 Voting Rights Act being gutted, and it's being rationalized under some election process. But I tell you what, this is what I believe. No matter how bad it gets, I'll never turn back. I'll never turn back. This is very sad, people. Oh, I don't like this person. I don't like that person. Well, you contributed to why this man has found his way back into the people's house, that he's destroying, not just, figuratively, but literally, the East Wing, the racial components that this man presents. You have to think deep. Why did he go after the East Wing? That was Jackie Onassis, John F. Kennedy, who was a great leader for civil rights. When I was growing up, I remember, they're talking about the first black president was John F. Kennedy, which brings me to think about something else. I heard just the other day, this unfit person is trying to bring back the presidential fitness thing again. That was developed by John F. Kennedy. He's trying to override everything John F. Kennedy did, even his wife's rose garden, by tearing up the entire East Wing where it was located. So now he's jumping on his bandwagon. That was John F. Kennedy's program. I know because I participated in it. He came to my elementary school, and I did the standing long jump, tried to climb the rope, but my booty, oh, man, anyway, it was too heavy, I think. I did everything else perfect, but think about what he's doing. He's undermining. That's why he put his name on the Kennedy Center, to outdo President Kennedy. That's why he ripped up President Obama's deal that he had with Iran. Things were going smooth. He ripped that agreement up. He disbanded President Obama's his program for infectious disease and pandemic team. Dismantled and got rid of them. Racism, racism, racism. Don't get it twisted. I used the episode once before about stochastic terrorism. Folks, listen to what they said. We got to vote. Even if those districts are all red, I'm praying that a lot of those people that have voted red realize they need to vote blue. We can turn this tide. We can try to find that eye of the storm, but we have to do it collectively, and we have to beat this evil that's been spreading across our country and our land and affecting and impacting families who can't put gas in the car, either buy food or put gas in the car to get to work, whatever the case might be. I don't want to get going here any further, but I appreciate all of you for bearing with me today. And I just say, give yourself a nice hand clap. And as we check out, I just want to say, let's go in peace. I plan on being back tomorrow, I hope, but God willing, and love all of you. Peace out.